So hello, I'm here at FTT Lending 3.0 with Philip Belamant, CEO and founder of Zilch. Hello, Philip.
Nice to see you, Lisa.
Great to have you. I wonder if we could start off with you telling us a little bit about you, your role at Zilch, what Zilch does.
Sure. So, for me, I've always been a builder of products. That's really, so people talk about entrepreneurs, but it's more a case of what solution are we building for an end consumer? And I've always been very focused on end consumers. So, what is a pain point for an end consumer? And building a solution to solve that problem for them. So, my background is I'm a tech entrepreneur from South Africa. And in my first business, really, our whole focus was on how do we make the lives of people living in our country better. And one of these examples was, for instance, people would queue for hours or weekends to buy prepaid airtime electricity. And we came up with an interesting way to solve that problem for the customer whilst keeping the ecosystem that was created around this distribution channel intact. So in other words, SMEs and SMMEs could still make their revenue, but customers could get their airtime and electricity from their couch at home rather than after queuing the whole weekend. And so this was a really good example of, how you can create true disruption without any change to the infrastructure on top of which you build something that truly changes people's lives or helps them fundamentally day to day. So that's my background, and really, that propelled me into this venture with Zilch. More recently, when I moved over to the UK about 7 years ago, I was really looking at the market and was surprised to see that some of the challenges we faced in access to low cost or no cost credit in a developing economy still existed in a developed economy like the UK. And one of the pain points for our customers was that, they didn't have access to this zero cost credit, and therefore it was expensive to defer the price of something over time. And that's really where I started to look at BMPR 1.0 and see how could we make that better. And that's really what we aspire to do here at Zilch. And so what we believe we're doing is we're really providing our customers the most meaningful, empowering, responsible, and valuable way to pay anywhere and for anything.
Great. I love the way you set out those problems that you were real world problems that you're solving for consumers. So you talked a little bit about disrupting BMPL 1.0. What does that look like?
So really the way we saw it was that BMPL 1.0 really is still a fantastic product. I mean, we do believe that BMPL certainly is the best way to defer payment the world has seen in a long time. Really it is, very responsible, fixed sum lending. It's all about the customer paying on time every time. Really fantastic model. But there was a couple of problems with that model, we believed. And one of those was that it was the customer's problem as to where you've integrated. You have to integrate with a retailer in this model. So who have you integrated to? And now as a customer, it's confusing because today I can spend using your service at store A, but then I go to store B tomorrow and you're not there. And so there's none of that reliability. I can't depend on you. I can't use you as an ongoing service. That also means because I don't use you ongoing, you see less of my transaction volume. And so you're blind to some of my behavior. It also means it's hard for me as a customer to reconcile exactly what I've spent and where, because I'm using you at one place and someone else at another place. And most importantly, there were still some hidden late fees. And this was possible because some of these providers, mostly, were operating in an exemption, not regulated. And these were all the challenges we found with this model. And so what we really asked ourselves is, who is the customer for BNPL 1.0 providers? And really the answer is the retailer. And what we did is we said, but how could we provide this amazing value to the customer directly? And bypass this model of B2B2C. Let's go B2C. Similar to what Amazon, did way back when. And that was the whole thinking. So what we did is we came up with a model to disrupt BMPL 1.0. And we had to think quite hard about how we would do this because there were some really large incumbent players that built these big network effects, lots of retailers. Similar to what Skype did. You remember Skype, right?
Yes, I think there are still some people that use it.
I'm not sure. Maybe there's one. But the point is that they had a network effect.
Yeah.
You must have Skype and so must I to speak to each other. And so over the years, they built this network. And there's only two ways that you can disrupt a network. One is you have to build a network of lower value and slowly encroach on that incumbent, like let's say someone like Airbnb to Booking.com. But the faster way is to come up with some technological innovation that completely bypasses this network effect and makes it irrelevant, similar to what Zoom did to Skype. And that's really what we did with Zilch. So what we did is we went direct to the customer, offered them a MasterCard product, which they could immediately use everywhere. Any store, online, offline, Amazon, eBay, Etsy, not on the high street, anywhere they want to go, they could either tap and pay over time or they could pay over time online immediately. And that's what we did. So we went to the customer and said, why don't you have this amazing proposition anyway, for anything? And that's where we began. And that's what found us our product market fit. And of course, what was really interesting is how we would make that free to the customer ultimately, which is part of the secret sauce of Zilch and what we do in our aggregation of affiliate commission links, advertising data, data revenue, etc., to make sure we can amortize the cost of the credit to the customer anywhere they want to go. So ultimately, we've just shifted who the end consumer is, and we serve the customer directly rather than the retailer.
That's a really interesting model. So you've solved this challenge for your users of ubiquity. They can use
That's
it
right.
anywhere. They don't have to rely on a retailer having come to an agreement with one or more BMPL providers.
Absolutely.
And then you can presumably reward them for that loyalty as well.
That's right, Lisa. You hit the nail on the head. So what we looked at is we said a customer might come to us to use pay over time for free. But what we then realized is they would like to use our product to recognize other value each and every time they transact. So we launched Pay in One with cashback. And then we started creating offers and deals. And so our customer can move into this flywheel of value we've created through BNPL if that's where they choose to start with us. They pay over time for free and go, wow, that's amazing. This works and it's ubiquitous. Amazing. Let me go use it as a debit card as well. But now I'm getting 2 to 5% in cashbacks every time I swipe. That's really valuable. They could then store that value, and that value grows over time, which is quite unique because most value we all store in cash these days doesn't grow, right? And that grows over time, and you could then use that value to discount a more expensive purchase in the future, or of course defer that purchase over time for free again, and around the value flywheel goes. And so what we've noticed is that customers use Zilch between 5 and 10 times more regularly than they would use a BNPL 1.0 point of sale finance provider. And it's because of this value flywheel we've created that we're seeing that traction.
That's really interesting, and you've given us a great sense of how you're challenging that 1.0 BMPL model. You touched a little bit on this, but what does the future look like? What is BMPL 3.0? Is it more value added to that flywheel you described?
Yeah, we think it's for us doubling down on the value we're adding on that flywheel. So we really think it's about how can we create more and more value for a customer, harness more and more of the purchasing power of our growing base. We're already at 2.2 million customers in just less than 18 months. How can we use that purchasing power and bring that to retailers, which brings retailers huge value? But go and speak with those retailers ultimately and say, what value could you give our customers to really come and spend with you? And that could be in many different forms. So today, our customer can pay with fiat currency, and they can pay in 4 or in 1, and they can get cashbacks. But tomorrow they could pay any other way, right? They could pay in 6 or 6 months. They could pay using cryptocurrency or their Nectar points as an example. Why couldn't they do that as well as fiat currency? And so ultimately, we want to really create the most ubiquitous way to pay. You hit the nail on the head there. If you know as a consumer that you can use this one product and it can behave differently each time you transact to serve your purpose, that's really powerful. That's never existed before. If you think about the fact that when we all got a card, even today, they tend to act the same way again and again and again. If it's a debit card, we know how it behaves. If it's a credit card, we know how it behaves. In this case, we have one product we've issued our customer, and it changes how it behaves based on what's valuable to you at the time of transacting. Is it valuable to defer this over time, over even more time? Is it valuable for you to access another form of payment, like let's say crypto instead of fiat? Is it valuable for you to get cashbacks and rewards, or those rewards in a cryptocurrency? Whatever's valuable to you, our product can provide. And that really is what we believe is the future of this. And that future is becoming less and less physical. It's obviously more seamless, eventually invisible and virtual. In virtual worlds, we don't need to be pulling out a token of some kind to pay, not even our phones. So we've gone from plastic to tap and pay. We think what's next is that it's just cardless transactions, And we're starting to see that already even in the physical world with Amazon Go, places like this, right? You can walk straight out and pay over time with Zilch linked to your Amazon account. You don't even need to use a payment tool. And obviously, as we move more into a sort of augmented reality world, which we're all already there, right? We make online purchases all the time. We think that this will be more and more the case. So we'll be supporting virtual currencies, plus, of course, the ability for people to buy virtual goods and services, pay over time, or get rewarded for paying now. And that's where we see the future going.
Fantastic. You've given us a great sense of what the future might hold. So thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of FTT Lending 3.0.
Thanks for having me, Lisa. Thank you.